the Herb Doctor podcast with Dr. Dealish Clare and myself, Katrina Hegarty. Hi, Dealish.
Hi, Katrina.
I'm so excited about this podcast today.
It's a good subject.
Yeah.
It's chocolate.
Yay! So excited. Okay, tell me everything.
Okay. So, first of all, this isn't a fuzzy wuzzy chocolate is good for you kind of episode, so you can take that smile off your face.
And you've just took the crack.
But it is good. It is good. There's plenty of crack left. So we're talking about whether dark chocolate, we're talking about dark chocolate in particular, specifically, is it effective as medicine? And because it comes from a cocoa bean, which is a herb, a bean, and if it has effects on the human terrain that are measurable when you take a certain amount of it in a dose-response curve, that makes it a medicine. So we're talking about a herb medicine. Loving it. But is it safe to use? And what do I buy? What goes behind all of the, what's worth buying? Okay, and how to tell the difference, even if it just says dark chocolate on the label, because we know how practical we are here. Okay, so today we are told that the gold standard for whether something is a medicine is a randomized controlled clinical trial, and that if you have that evidence, then you can claim it as a medicine. Very hard to do if you're talking about chocolate porridge or prunes, all of which are medicines.
Prunes?
Yeah.
Great.
If you're constipated, try some prunes.
Oh, yeah.
So we're challenging that if it's a randomized controlled clinical trial, you can have a tiny trial which shows that it is better than a placebo. That's all it needs to be. Is anyway 0.01% better than a placebo on 30 people, and you've got a lot of branded products out there. And they're not necessarily. This is another aspect of science ploitation. So how do we interpret that? And it needs to be challenged. And that's, say, all of these foods like chocolate, oats, and prunes, I would say are efficacious because we've been using them for thousands of years. All right. So well, that's part of the thing. So the efficacy is a pragmatic. Right, so down to earth, pragmatic. Does it work? Is it useful? Is it clinically useful? Is it patient or people focused? Is it available? Like, they're all pragmatic aspects of efficacy and safety. A drug might be highly efficacious at forcing a single biological endpoint, like dropping your cholesterol. It's easy to test a number. Right, but it often carries a heavy safety tax of unwanted side effects. Those side effects might be acceptable if it does a really good job for somebody who is in a state of disease. Okay, but you wouldn't want to. Well, I think some of the pharmaceutical companies tried to make it relevant to more than 60% of the population, as in statins, but doctors actually said no. Okay. Well done, doctors. Okay. So dark chocolate is the ultimate example of a high efficacy intervention. Okay, because we're going to show that it's effective and that it's safe. All right. So its side effects aren't muscle pain or liver issues. They are secondary benefits like improved mood and healthier gut flora. All right. Today we're looking at, we're specifically referring to, as kind of like our primary reference, a 2025 systematic review that digs into how cocoa flavonoids, right, so we've talked about constituents, like in St. John's wort. These are the constituents that they've particularly looked at in this study, and they're cocoa flavonols. How they interact with our inner skin, the endothelium specifically. The endothelium is a single cell layer that lines all of the cardiovascular system, and it's the only layer in capillaries. Now, capillaries, you've got your arteries going out, your veins collecting. The capillaries is the one cell thick that actually does the oxygen exchange, that delivers everything that you've just eaten and takes away what you need to get rid of across one cell. But this one cell reflects other barriers. It lines, it's a massive organ. So how it affects the endothelium is very important. Okay. So this particular study that we're referring to acknowledges that there is a macrovascular effect. So there's an overall benefit on blood pressure, right, if you take cocoa, right? But this is particularly looking at the microvasculature. As a herbalist, I particularly want to know about the microvascular system because it has got everything got to do with how your cells work in every organ of your body. Okay, not just the cardiovascular system. And this is one of the problems of research. It isolates the cardiovascular system from the immune system. The endothelium has a massive effect on the immune system, and that's where the chronic diseases lie. This is our pandemic. So this is why we get excited. So now there's all kinds of limitations to looking at any kind of food in a randomized controlled clinical trial because they're nearly all acute studies. Now, I ask you, if you take 2 squares of chocolate or 4 squares of chocolate or even 100 grams of chocolate, it'll make it a difference in 2 hours. But other secondary differences can occur over the next few days, right? Because it can be absorbed into the lymph system. It can be, it can change the gut microflora. It can do all kinds of other secondary things, which is probably why we have all these secondary benefits. So just looking at that 2-hour window is very limited. Okay, but we'll accept the limitation. It's good to find out. Okay, so and it shows that they're particularly effective in that 1 to 2 hour window. And that 1 to 2 hour window can affect the next day, 2 days, 3 days, and if you take it regularly, possibly even more. Evidence also suggests that the cocoa flavonols reduce microvascular tone, right? So they reduce microvascular tone, so they tighten the tone. And this is what you want. If you have a barrier, you want it to be effective, not over-effective, just effective. And it's likely that that would be a beneficial effect in people who are prone to hypertension and other cardiovascular diseases. Okay? And this applies to the brain and the peripheries.
Right. Okay.
Right? The peripheries are your arms and legs and all the bits that move. Okay. Basically helping the tiniest vessels in your brain and muscles to relax and breathe. Just going to go back to that last point. Do they tighten or relax? And this is another issue to do with herbs and drugs. I would say that as a working model, herbs modulate. But that wouldn't be reflected in research like this. Modulation means that if the tone of your endothelium is too tight, it'll relax it. If it's too loose, it'll tighten it. Okay. But they are basically making it more effective when you look at the end result. Okay. So we're agreed on the end result. While chocolate is a rock star for our large arteries, which is the macrovasculation, the effect on the tiny microvessels is more subtle. You'd expect it to be. Okay. It suggests that for the smallest vessels, an acute hit is more impactful than long-term accumulation. Now, I would say that this is likely to be a limitation of this kind of research. All right? Yeah. But it's a fact. It's a fact. So then we're thinking, is there any concerns that it might be harmful, right? And there isn't.
Please don't say chocolate's harmful.
Okay, yeah. If we're talking about white chocolate, we can... No, I'm going to ask Kat to sing with me.
Okay, go ahead.
Do you remember the ad for the Milky Bar?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, I do, yeah.
You ready?
Yeah, one.
This is the Milky Bar, for people who don't know, is pure white chocolate. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so the Milky Bar kid is strong and tough, and only the best is good enough. The creamiest milk, the whitest bar, the chocolate that Milky Bar. Yeah.
Okay. Lies. It's all lies. If you look at a cocoa bean and look at white chocolate, how much cocoa beans do you think is there in chocolate? It's pure sugar, right? So the darker the chocolate, the better. So when you say, is chocolate good for you? Dark chocolate is good for you. And we're going to go into that now.
Oh, great.
So the endothelium is, as we say, the single layer. It's a massive organ spread throughout every part of the body, every cell in the body. The main premise is that this is influenced by nitric oxide bioavailability. That's for the science nerds. They reduce reactive oxygen species, which is the rust in your pipes. Okay, and they allow the endothelium to signal that your vessels to dilate. The Cochrane review confirms that a small but statistically significant drop in blood pressure, 2 to 3 milligrams, is the most benefit seen in those who are already hypertensive. And this is another thing. If you look at studies on normal people, it might have no effect. If you look on people who need it, it might have a clinical effect. And this is very common for herbs. So if you read a study that says it was tested in healthy individuals, you're really looking for, is it safe, not is it effective, right? Or how it's metabolized, or you're looking at other useful information. So just because this is influenced by nitrous oxide doesn't mean that there isn't other things in chocolate that if you need to tighten rather than relax, that other constituents don't do that. So I'm not contradicting myself. See how complicated it is? We love complexity. So if we accept all of this evidence in conjunction with wider considerations in the research world, what you want to do is you want to buy good chocolate, good for you chocolate. Okay. She's not looking nearly as happy.
No.
So reading the labels, look and see if it says acidity regulator or potassium carbonate on the label. The flavonols have been destroyed. Don't waste your money. Okay?
Right.
You're eating candy, not medicine. Now, this doesn't mean that the good stuff tastes less good. Right, and this is where I'll say that you can train your taste buds. You can send them to taste bud school by eating things regularly, so that you change your sweet receptors into bitter receptors. It's a moving goalpost. So after a while, you go, "Oh, I'd love a dark chocolate." Okay, so that just gives you a kind of, like, if you're not immediately going, wowzers. 20-gram rule, stick to 20 grams, which is 2 large squares of 70% plus dark chocolate. Okay, and that can be per day, right? And I think this answers a social need. Kind of everywhere in the world, people have meals and dinners with starters, main course and a dessert. And it seems to be quite a cultural thing, reality or whatever. And often people will just have that yen. And it adds to the satiety if you've had that little bit of something. And then people will even say, "Oh, I just fancy a little bit of something." Right? And that's good. I would say as well, for people who are binge eaters, that having that little bit of something, both Kat and I are pointing at ourselves.
Oh, yeah.
This is one of the features of learning intuitive eating, which is that you satisfy your need for food, nutrition, and satiety on a regular basis, so that when you're falling into your triggered patterns for binge eating, you have a higher threshold.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's part of a management system. I call it agency. So this is one of the ways that I have found, certainly, that it makes things more manageable. So the best every day, I did check whether I can write about brands on podcasts, and apparently I can, so long as they're justified and I'm making a point and I'm not sponsored by any of these people. Yeah. So the best supermarket choices, because who can be doing all this research for themselves when I've just spent 2 days doing it? When shopping at Tesco's, Sainsbury's, M&S or similar in Ireland, you all know the main supermarkets, look for specific ranges. They talk about the the Dominican Republic 75%, Ecuador 80%. You want single origin bars from West Africa, like Uganda, and I think Tanzania and Madagascar are mentioned as well. So you want single, that's a Waitrose brand. M&S single origin collection, look for Peru 75% or Madagascar 70%. These are minimally processed and tend to have higher antioxidant profiles than the standard Swiss style dark chocolates. So I'll tell you the Waitrose ones, what you're specifically looking for is Dominican Republic 75 or Ecuador 80%, single origin bars from West Africa. Often have naturally lower cadmium levels due to the soil profile. So you're also looking at toxicity. And Tesco Finest, which we do have here, their Ecuador 75% is a solid mid-range choice, not as high in flavanols as specialised health chocolate. It avoids the heavy Dutching or alkalization found in cheaper dark chocolates. I don't know if cheaper or more expensive is more reliable than knowing what you're looking for on those labels.
But wouldn't you be looking for the dark chocolate to have a certain level of cacao in it?
This is always 70% plus. All of these have 70% plus.
Okay,
yeah.
Okay.
And certainly these would have higher levels than the dark chocolate of Cadbury's.
Yeah.
Right. So you are looking for quality. Is this quality that's worth paying for? I absolutely think so. And if you're looking at price, you're talking about having, not eating 4 squares every night, but eating 2 squares. And that way it's a 50% reduction. Best value.
Yeah. Well, I suppose if you get a large bar, which would have the likes of, say...
The typical large bar in this part of the world is 100 grams.
100 grams?
Yeah.
Right, okay.
So you want a fifth of that. You want 20 grams.
So you're looking
and you can weigh it if you want,
you're
just
looking
for
at
reference.
Just a square of it.
2 squares usually. Yeah.
Of it, yeah.
So now you know.
Yeah.
Yeah. If you're eating the whole bar, you're also eating a lot of sugar.
Well, there would be.
If you're eating it's actually very hard to eat a whole bar. I have managed it.
No.
But it's very hard. You feel sick after it.
Yeah.
So it has a built-in brakes, whereas 100 grams of milk chocolate, no problem.
Oh, listen.
Okay. So do you see what I mean? It has, and it's a bit like the herbs. It's very hard in their natural state. It's actually very hard. It's very hard to overdose on thyme. It's very hard to overdose even on peppermint. Right. You would reach a point where you go, I don't really want any more of that.
Yeah.
Which isn't the case with crisps and milk chocolate, so there you go. But the intuitive eating is if you eat to satisfy your requirements to maintain good neurochemistry and digestive health, then that lowers your threshold for the triggers that are unique to everybody, right? The common ones are hungry, angry, lonely, or tired, right? So having those 2 squares of dark chocolate, and if you're really in bad form, having 4 or even 6 is still better than a large bar of milk chocolate. So we're talking about, that's where you go into damage limitation. All right. And this is where satiety is rarely mentioned when you're talking about food. And satiety is that feeling of, I'm done. That's just night. Just so people know, that doesn't kick in until 20 minutes after your meal. So I would suggest, based on that, leaving the dark chocolate for 20 minutes after your meal. And then you're a lot more likely to stick to the 2 squares rather than keep on keeping on.
Is this the idea of feeling full after your dinner?
Yeah.
That when you go to take the 2 squares of chocolate, that's all you'd need. Do you know, like...
It's your little top up. It's that little... It's a cultural thing. It's It's a brain chemistry. I'll come on to that a little bit more. We've got other good news.
Go on,
keep listening. We've got more good news. Okay.
Tell us.
So brands to use in moderation. Lindt Excellence 70, 85 and 90%. They use a process that produces a very smooth texture, which often involves more heat and alkalization, potentially reducing the flavanol content compared to raw or minimally processed brands. Okay? So if it's the only thing that's available, no problem. But if you have better labelled ones, then that's what you would go for. Green and blacks, while it's a staple and more readily available, it is flagged for slightly higher lead levels relevant to cleaner artisan brands. It's still safe, but perhaps not the best if your goal is daily clinical grade supplementation. Okay? So you know what to look for now. Now, if you want the gold star, right, it's your birthday.
Yes.
You're looking at Valrhona.
Ooh.
Particularly the Abinao, 85%. ABINAO. It'll be in the supplementary information. It's a French brand that uses traditional roasting methods, which helps retain a higher percentage of the bean's natural polyphenols, which are the flavanols, compared to mass market brands. Or Montezuma's, supermarkets and standalone shops. They're absolute black, 100%. Now that is bitter. Or 85% dark are excellent choices. They have publicly addressed the heavy metal issue, stating they strictly monitor levels to ensure they remain well below the EU, UK safety limits, which are generally stricter than those in the US. And there's another one I haven't heard of before. It's Noord Code Speciality Online Retailers. NOORD and then capital CODE with no break between them. Although a premium brand, it is increasingly popular in the UK. And this often extends to Ireland, but not specifically stated. Their 90% pure chocolate is specifically lab tested for heavy metals and mycotoxins and contain a high verified flavanol content. Okay. So all of this above is based on research into cocoa flavanols. But as we said, we're looking for the stacking effect, synergy, adding it to other things. So now we come on to the endocannabinoid system, which is our bliss. Now we're on to the bliss. Okay. So finally, chocolate is also about the endocannabinoid system. And dark chocolate contains anandamide, known as the bliss molecule. It blocks the breakdown of your own we make our own cannabinoids, which are endocannabinoids. Endo means we make it ourselves, promoting relaxation and reward. So that's why this is particularly good for people who have addictions. I would say specifically to food, because this comes from the food cabinet. And that is why chocolate acts like a hug for the brain.
Oh.
Yeah, I saved the good news till last, don't I? So, and then this is part of the stacking, the synergy stack. Chocolate isn't a magic bullet, it's part of a stack which includes essential fatty acids and nitrates. And anandamide is actually part of the fatty acid constituent. And all of the other omega-3 sources like hemp, chia, sardines, and nitrates like beetroot are partners in this high efficacy lifestyle.
Oh, right.
Okay. Also read a very good article on the DASH diet. We can also bring in the Mediterranean diet, all of these things. So if you're living on just dark chocolate, you won't be healthy. If you have a salad, some good proteins, some vegetables, all of these things, and some olive oil, and throw in a few nuts, and then you have your 2 squares of dark chocolate, then you're in business. And you know what? You'll feel happier. and less triggered by the industrialized food options, which occupy 2/3 of our shops. All right. So I'm trying to bring it back to how does this make us feel on a day-to-day basis and cope with our stresses, so yeah. Now, the next point, we're on to back onto our little bit of science knickers here, but they're fun. I would put they're fun. Because the point I want to make this is how information evolves. So we're going to look at we can contrast 2012 and 2017 Cochrane research findings. And I specify this because those who are into evidence-based medicine place a very high value on Cochrane systematic reviews. Okay, so the people who know their evidence will be going, oh, okay, she's done her research. And the Richardson one, which I've mainly quoted about the microvascular system. This trajectory illustrates the efficacy argument as the science matures. Okay, we move from just looking at pipes, which is blood pressure, to performance, which is the microvascular system, and cerebral function, and beyond. Okay. So the 2012, we have the foundational support that flavanol-rich cocoa had a small but significant effect of lowering blood pressure by 2 to 3 milligrams of mercury. That's not a lot. But if your blood pressure is 143 over 89, that 3 milliliters of mercury can make the difference between put on a drug or not put on a drug. Okay, if it's consistent and reflects over with the 24-hour reading, preferably. However, they were very cautious and they cite all of the usual things that, as we get on with this presenting stuff in this podcast, all of the arguments of too much variation, confounding influences, all the rest of it, and the trials and questioning if it worked for everyone. And this is another thing to do with randomized trials for drugs. If it doesn't work for everyone, if it only works for 30% of people, then it's not effective. All right? But if you're one of those 30% of people, you don't care about the other 70%. You just want to know that it works for you, especially if it's safe. Yeah. Okay. And then we go on to the 2017, which is the confirmation, done by the same authors, which is just another kind of... or comparing like with like. After 5 more years of data, the evidence was upgraded to moderate quality. Crucially, they identified cocoa acts as a biomodulator. All right, they're beginning to speak my language now, aren't they? It had a significantly stronger effect in people who were already hypertensive compared to those with normal blood pressure. So it's also specific to the group most relevant. And the trend is the evidence shifted from it might work to it works specifically well for those at risk. Okay. And the other thing is the 2025, we're then moving on from 2017 to 2025, where we're going from the macro to the micro, as in the Richardson study. So we now have evidence that cocoa doesn't just help the heart, it improves cerebral circulation because the endothelium also goes to the blood-brain barrier and all of the blood's in the brain. Do you see what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like
actually.
Dividing things into this organ and that organ and whatever, it's got gross limitations. This is a massive leap for the efficacy profile. One intervention helping both the heart and the brain simultaneously. And I would say every cell in the body, right? Peak performance window. The 2025 data solidified the 1 to 2 hour acute window. We now know that blood concentrations of cocoa flavonoids peak exactly when microvascular vasodilation behavior is most active. So it absolutely, imprints that. So we go just to summarize that because this is very important. 2012, 2 to 3 millimeters of mercury drop proved that it wasn't just folk medicine. Okay. 2017 targeted benefit shows that cocoa knows where it's needed, i.e. in hypertensives. 2023 inverse risk, cumulative intake in the CAVAS study, which is epidemiological study, proves long-term safety. We like that. Not only have we used it and we think it's good, they've actually looked at it over a prolonged period of time in a very, very big population. And then 2025, microvascular tone, proved benefits extend to the tiniest blood vessels in the brain. Okay. So, why the evidence is strengthening? You can argue that evidence hasn't just increased in volume, it has increased in sophistication. We used to guess that it was antioxidants. Now we know it's specifically nitric oxide bioavailability, but we also know that it influences COX enzymes and prostaglandins, which are implicated in inflammation. All right, so with more specificity, we've moved from eating chocolate is good to 10 to 20 grams of non-alkalized 70% plus cocoa provides peak flavanol dose. So we've refined the knowledge. Holistic safety. While drug trials often reveal new side effects over time, post-marketing surveillance, the surveillance on cocoa over the last 13 years has only revealed more benefits like the endocannabinoid system anandamide connection. There's also a connection with the menstrual cycle. We lower our anandamide from ovulation to PMS, and in the second half of the cycle, the closer we get to bleeding, the more the cravings, right? Another problem, I'm going to do another whole thing about research and, how to look at it in the same way, how to look at the labels. So, just to kind of summarize at the end, we've seen how whole medicines and food can be a multi-systematic modulator with near zero risk, and what happens when science-ploitation takes these molecules and moves us away from how they are available in the natural world.
Yeah. Interesting.
Okay.
Yeah, got it.
Has that changed your shopping?
100%. I'm going to have to buy dark chocolate now. Definitely.
Yeah.
Over 70%.
Yeah.
I'm definitely going to...
Without acid regulators. No palm oil is just a smaller point, but these ones won't have palm oil in it because palm oil is used. So you want cocoa solids. So if there's that many cocoa solids, they automatically pretty much don't have palm oil. Yeah. It's one of the reasons why the milk chocolates are not good. Okay. So 70 plus non-alkalized, and there was one other thing I was going to look for. Yeah, no palm oil.
The cocoa solids.
Yeah, that's the 70%.
Oh, yes.
Okay. I've said it earlier. People will remind me. Okay, guys. Enjoy your chocolate.
Oh.
Eat well. All right. All of these arguments can also be applied to things like beetroot, celery, so adding all of these together with your two pieces, and I'm telling you, that's a significant impact. This also has a significant impact, all of these things for anti-cancer, all of these antioxidants from food. We don't have the same evidence from supplements. So always food first. And the more you spend on good food, the less you'll spend on medical care, the less you'll spend in the pharmacy or in the doctors. So I make no apology. All right. So add this to your sardines.
Chocolate, sardines, and I do actually love beetroot. I think
Great.
Yeah. I'm definitely going to eat a bit more of that too.
And we'll come back to Rose O'Farrell, my mother, who says everything in moderation. What's the last bit? Do you remember? Including moderation. Time for a party. Okay, she loved a good wedding.
Everything in moderation, including moderation.
The pause is very important.
Oh, you have to pause. Okay.
Yeah.
I love it. Okay.
Say it yourself. Keep practicing it. Everything in moderation. And you're going, oh, yeah, right. Yeah. Including moderation.
I love it.
Oh, we can have a party.
That's definitely
Great.
My quote for today. Thank you for today's episode. Thank you, Dealish, for that. That was really good insight about chocolate and cocoa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think the context is people are so fed up with this is bad for you, that's bad for you, this is good. And then 5 years later, oh no, that's good for you. This is good. And the confusion around all of this is just dreadful, right?
I will say one thing that you did say earlier is making sure that, you know, you're reading the back of these chocolate bars and seeing actually what's actually in the bar itself.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
And you only have to do that once, and then you'll find that's the one for me, and then you don't have to do it again. It's like, what, 20, 30 minutes investment?
Yeah, and I was just looking at the different types that you were mentioning earlier, and, you know, they're all widely available online to buy, all those different types of chocolate that you mentioned. I was looking at them, and, you know, they're all accessible. They're easy to get.
Yeah.
If you're not able to get it in the shop that you want, you know.
Yeah.
So they're all easy. You can buy them online. They're very easy to get. But very interesting conversation. I really enjoyed that.
Good. And join our conversation, people.
Yeah.
Tell us your experience, your real life experiences. Yeah.
We'd love to hear from you. We'd love to hear about how you are you eating your 2 little blocks of pieces of chocolate every day? How does that help you? We'd love to hear from you.
The other thing you can do is buy pure cocoa and make it into a drink with any kind of milk and do a cacao ceremony. I forgot all about that. And I do that, not often enough, but it's just lovely. And traditionally, cacao is used as a nighttime drink to help sleep. The bliss. The bliss.
Bliss. That's the one thing we have to remember. Is the
and
bliss.
If you suffer from PMS, for the week before your period, a lovely cacao ceremony every night.
Oh my
Change your life.
I love it.
Oh, we nearly forgot the good stuff, didn't we? All right.
You don't forget. Okay, please like, share and follow the podcast.
Great.
And if there's anything that you'd like us to talk about or Dealish to bring up on a topic for you, please get in touch. We'd love to hear from you. That's it from now. Until next time, take care and stay well. Bye for now.
Absolutely.